What do you see when you look at the riders? Like, I think it's always an interesting conversation that I have with you when you notice like different weaknesses in their neck or their arms or whatever. So tell us something you saw.
Oh man, I do notice that, in riders. I think the probably the main thing that I'm noticing is there's a bit of a paradigm shift in happening in motocross. I would say much like say road cycling, switching over from say threshold training to polarized training or the whole wide tire, although that's more of a tech thing, say short cranks. There's been a real a change. The technology is so good now, and not only the bikes themselves, but also data that you can use. A lot of these video capturing and GPS capturing programs that the technology side has really raised up, and riders are figuring out a little bit faster way around the track. And the best guy in the sport right now, Jett Lawrence, an Australian, and his older brother, they're kind of the two best guys in the sport, and they've just brought a technique in that is one of those ones that kind of looks slow but is actually really fast, a bit more methodical about hopping over jumps as opposed to smashing through them. There was a period in the sport where it was just all about having the best cardio you could, and more hitting a lot of the obstacles and going as fast you could doing that. And Jett's brought in a new mode where he's looking over the obstacles instead of through them, and it's really exciting for me to watch because it's game changing, and seeing what people are kind of stepping up to the new style and what people are stuck in the style that they've been doing for a while, which is rapidly becoming not the way to get the fastest way around the track. So that part of it was just really interesting for me.
So can you tell me a question I've been itching to ask you? So when I'm watching downhill mountain bike racing, how do I tell if the guy's going to be fast? Like some of this showing like crossing up and jumping and a little too much
Right.
time in the air seems to me to be slow. It would seem to me that you would want to be looking through and always on the ground and pedaling and da da da. So tell me, how do I tell when I'm watching a fast downhill run?
Man, a fast downhill run. I mean, obviously, other than if the split is green or not,
Well,
which means
even
it, but
that's a little confusing on that screen for me
on
to
the
follow those
splits,
splits.
yeah, yeah. You know what? That's a great question. One, a lot of times what looks really, really fast is the opposite. Coming into corners a little bit overcooked and on the brakes and your bike's moving all around, a lot of times that will look fast, but there's very few racers that actually go fast doing that, or especially that can do it consistency. So what I really look for when I'm watching them on the screen is their momentum. Does it look like they stall out anywhere? You see the fastest guys in downhill, which also, interestingly enough, Jackson Goldstone, who has won, a ton of races. I think over half the races this year he won the world championships. He is actually employing a strategy a lot like what Jett's doing in motocross, where Jackson jumps a lot of sections. On a downhill mountain bike, a lot of times you're just generating your speed from pumping the backside of obstacles. And I mean, Jackson will put together a section just in a different way that people are. And I think that that really starts with the way that you actually see the track as an athlete yourself. When you look at it, what do you see? Like I said, are you looking at the front of the obstacles and going, oh, I'm going to skip off this and this and this? Or are you saying, well, if I just boost off this one, I'm going to go over that obstacle and land on the backside? And so that's part of what Jackson is really doing too. Most of the time, big whips and things like that off the jumps are a little bit slower. However, it's such a skill sport, the same thing in dirt bikes, that sometimes your scrubs and your whips are an indication of how well your run is going. When you're just feeling it and you're flying and going fast, you're just scrubbing or throwing it out because that's what feels good. It takes a trained eye, but if you're to focus on any one thing, it's momentum. If you're hanging up, if you're hitting things really hard, if there's a lot of erratic motion, that's usually not fast. If the wavelength, the vibe is pretty rolly like that of how they're hitting things, that's gonna be a fast downhill.